Time to bring in this week's news panel. Joining me is Washington correspondent for the Australian newspaper, Adam Creighton, and New York Post columnist Carol Markowitz. Now, firstly, Adam, I want to get your thoughts on news that an IRS whistleblower is alleging a cover-up in the Hunter Biden tax investigation. What do you make of it?
Well, as you suggested, James, it really is third world stuff, if it's true. It hasn't been proven yet, but it's quite shocking if this is the case. I mean, it seems like it probably is true. I mean, for a senior civil servant to leave their job like that, it basically means ending all their friendships, ending their career. They're probably never going to get a job anywhere else. So there's a very high likelihood that the information that this person has is probably legitimate. And so if it is true, it has huge implications, not, of course, just for Hunter Biden, but for Joe Biden's seemingly imminent presidential announcement. I mean, there's going to be a lot of mud associated with these allegations, and some of it obviously is going to fall on the president. And more broadly, though, I mean, wouldn't you think that a family of the stature in the US and influence of the Bidens would pay more attention to their tax affairs, cross the T's and dot the I's? I mean, I just find these allegations of tax, kind of tax mismanagement just extraordinary.
Indeed. And Carol, all of this comes as details emerge that up to 9 members of the Biden family may have received cash from foreigners. When is Joe Biden going to come out? I mean, he said a few little things to the press when he's walking to the helicopter, but when is the Biden administration really going to take these matters in hand and address the American people about it?
I don't think he is. I think your opening monologue is exactly right, that Democrats just feel like they could do whatever they want and nobody's going to stop them. And a big part of that, of course, is that we have a really compliant media in this country, and nobody's picking up this Hunter Biden story. I keep checking like the New York Times, the Washington Post, etc. No mention of anything like this because it's just not considered a relevant issue. And of course, it's not considered a relevant issue because it's happening to their political side. I think, the one thing I would say, though, is that it would be a really good idea for one of these media outlets to finally break out of the pack and really challenge this administration. They would get a lot of views, a lot of hits, a lot of readership. They're not brave enough to do it, I don't think, but they should.
No, I think you're right, Carol, but they can all watch the U.S. report and find out about it right here. But now, Adam, we've also seen this week Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's the nephew of John F. Kennedy and the son of Robert F. Kennedy officially kick off his Democrat nomination campaign. You were there at the speech. Tell us about it. And just for background, he seems to be being dismissed by a lot of the media as kind of a crazy anti-vaxxer, but he also had some pretty damning things to say about his uncle and the CIA. Is he for real?
Yes.
And does he have a shot against Joe Biden?
Look, I think he has a very small shot. I mean, I think it's a symptom of Joe Biden's weakness as a president that he's running in the first place. I think in any normal electoral cycle, he would not have a chance. But the president, as we know, is very weak at the moment in the polls. And so there is certainly an opening there for some other Democrat. And of course, Kennedy has extraordinary name recognition, which is going to be hugely helpful. He's already polling at 14%, which I think is far more than I would have expected, given he hasn't even started yet. And his messages have not even gotten out. I mean, of course, no challenger, I think, in US history has ever dislodged an incumbent president from their party's ticket. So it's certainly a huge uphill battle there. But look, the man is extraordinarily eloquent. He's extremely intelligent and principled. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the speech, even though it went for almost 2 hours. There was extraordinary enthusiasm in the Boston Park Plaza Hotel, the spiritual homeland, if you like, of that family. But he's an interesting character. He has some policies which appeal to the right of politics. He has some policies that appeal to the left. I mean, I think he's a unifying candidate, and certainly with a name like that, that will help. It just remains to be seen how much the media chooses to attack him for his various eccentric stances, if you like, on vaccines in the past. I mean, for me, that's a pretty, small aspect of someone's political outlook. There's a lot of other things to talk about rather than vaccines. But nevertheless, the media likes to dwell on that, to destroy him, because they prefer the status quo. So let's just see how it goes. But look, it's the first interesting thing that's happened so far in the campaign. I mean, I don't think anyone wants a Biden-Trump rematch.
Well, yeah, but it does look like we're going to go there, and we'll talk about that a bit later in the program. But, Carol, I want to go down to Florida, where you are right now. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is ramping up his fight with Disney after the company thwarted his efforts to seize control over its Orlando parks and properties. But he's still looking to void the special sweetheart deals that have allowed that Disney theme park to act basically as its own government. This is a new fight in his war on wokeness, I guess, Carol. Is it working? And here's a bigger question. Will this play for people outside Florida as he considers a presidential bid?
I think so. I think it'll play in the Republican primary. And I think that the kind of things that Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida are absolutely transferable to a larger picture. Look what just happened with Bud Light. They had Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender model, on their can, and there was a real backlash for maybe the first time from the right. I think that the people on the right and moderates too have really had enough of the wokeness, and they really do have a champion in Governor DeSantis who says, I will fight for you and I will fight back against this. And here I took on the biggest business in my state who are super popular because they tried to ram wokeness down the throat of children. And so I think the idea that he fights back is one that will really help him in their primary.